Let's line up our heels with our knees with our sit bones. So everything's a little bit away from each other, a little bit away from each other, separated with those legs. Let's take our hands right by our sides. We'll press them gently into the mat and just take a few deep breaths here in sitting. Press into your hands, let the weight come off of your legs a little. Let's take a big breath in and a big breath out. Again, let's take a big breath in. This time, let's take our arms up and overhead. And we'll exhale them down by our sides. Let's take our fingertips to the floor. We're going to take a big tall side bend toward one of those top corners of the room. Inhale up, tall, and let's exhale over to the other side. Inhale up tall, exhale and side bend. One last time here. Inhale up tall, exhale. We'll side bend toward that opposite corner. Let's bring ourselves up vertical, take our hands down by our sides, and we're going to turn and face lengthwise on our mat now. Keeping those knees bent, let's make our way down to the floor. We'll let that head rest on the mat, and let's inch our feet a little closer to our bottoms as we do so. We're going to try to get those lower legs lined up so they're nearly vertical here. Let's keep our arms resting down on the mat and take another big breath in. As you exhale, gently draw your belly down towards your spine as if you're tightening a little seatbelt of muscles right between those two hip bones that are pointing directly up to the ceiling. Maintaining that abdominal activation, let's gently nod the chin down toward the neck and feel the back of the neck lengthen up. It's going to elongate down toward the mat. We can also think about taking that breastbone down toward the floor, letting us sink that mid-back into the mat. And while maintaining that belly to spine contraction, there's lots of things going on here. We're going to reach our arms to the ceiling. Palms will face in toward each other. Let's reach those fingertips up to the ceiling, reaching those shoulder blades around the front of the body, and we'll draw those blades down to the floor. Try to keep those elbows as straight as you can. Reach up to the ceiling, draw the blades down. Reach it up and down for 4, for 3, for 2, and for 1. Reach those fingertips up. Let's drop our blades down to the floor and keeping that mid back down, that belly gently drawn down, we're going to take our arms back overhead. Reach them toward the wall behind you, stopping at the point of that first barrier of motion. You might get a little stretch along your sides. You might feel a stretch along the underside of your upper arms. Hold it there for a breath. Feel those ribs open up as you inhale. Feel them relax as you exhale. One more big breath here. Inhale, arms stay where they are. Expand those ribs. Exhale. Draw that belly down a little closer to the spine. We're going to bring our arms to the ceiling. And then let's arc those arms down to the floor in front of us and press those shoulder blades down into the mat. Let's picture our clock face on our trunk and our pelvis. We're picturing 12 o'clock up by that breastbone, 6 o'clock down by that pubic bone, 3 and 9 on either sides at your hip bones. We're going to rock that pelvis toward 12 o'clock, shortening the pubic bone toward the breastbone, letting that back flatten into the mat. We'll reverse it to 6 o'clock. Pubic bone lengthens away from the breastbone toward the floor. Let's rock back and forth between those 2 points, 12 o'clock and 6 o'clock, curling and reversing, keeping the rest of the body as still as we can. We'll curl 12 to 6 for 4, for 3, for 2, and for 1. Let's come back down to our neutral position. We'll reset a little bit of activity in those abdominals, drawing the belly down just slightly. And we're going to rock from 3 o'clock to 9 o'clock. We take one side of the pelvis down to the mat as the other side comes up. And let's switch and go to the other side, 9 o'clock. Rotate to 3. Rotate to 9. Feel how your feet press a little bit unevenly into the floor as you rock that pelvis side to side to keep those lower legs still. We'll take it 3 to 9 for 4, for 3, keep those shoulder blades down, for 2, and for 1. Let's come right back to the middle then. Keeping that belly drawn down, we're going to float one knee up to 90 degrees. Keep the belly drawn down. Let's float the other knee up to meet it at tabletop. Parallel shins, thighs are at a 90-degree angle at the knees and as close to a 90-degree angle at the hips as we can get them. Let's hold this here. Again, drawing those shoulder blades down to the floor. Reassess how hard you're working through that belly. You should be able to draw the navel down toward the spine without feeling like you're really fighting the urge to poke it up toward the ceiling. If it does feel like it's poking up or it's very, very challenging to maintain, you can take one foot down for a kickstand. Either way, we're going to take our hands up and press them into the thigh or thighs that are in front of us. Keeping the rest of the body nice and still and that belly drawn down, we're going to press the hands and thighs toward each other. Just enough until you first start feeling some pressure build and some work build in the abdomen from that lowest part of your rib cage all the way down toward that pubic bone. We're gonna hold that tension, keeping those core muscles active as we straighten and bend our knees. Lift those feet to the ceiling, then lower them down to tabletop. Straighten the legs, lift those feet, lower them back to tabletop. 2 more times here, straighten, bring them back down. Last time, straighten them up, lower them back to tabletop. Hold them right there. We're gonna keep that chin knotted, and let's open those arms up toward the wall in front of us. Reach those fingertips far past your toes, feeling those underarm muscles support you and start to activate. If you'd like to lift the back of the head and look toward your toes between those knees, you may do so now. You could also keep your head down if that feels better. And we're gonna pat our hands up and down as we go through our 100 breaths. We're gonna inhale 2, 3, 4, 5, and exhale 2, 3, 4, 5. Keep that pattern going with straight elbows. As always, you're welcome to bring a foot down for a little kickstand assist to take a little pressure off your back and your abdominals. The head could be down or lifted. We could also challenge ourselves further by straightening one or both legs toward the ceiling, and then finally opening those feet up toward the wall in front of us. Breathe it in. 2, 3, 4, 5. Exhale. 2, 3, 4, 5. Let's lift those palms up. We're going to press the air to the ceiling now. Inhaling and exhale. Inhale, 2, 3, 4, 5, and exhale. Inhale, 2, 3, 4, 5, and exhale. Everybody bring those knees to tabletop from wherever they are. Breathe it in. 2, 3, 4, 5, and exhale. 2, 3, 4, 5. Let's pause with those hands facing the ceiling. Reach those fingertips out toward the wall in front of you, and we're going to lower that upper body down if it's been lifted. Let's now take those arms out to the side. We're going to keep them hovered up off the floor. We want to hold them out on a T shape at the point when we first start to feel a bit of stretch, a bit of opening from shoulder to shoulder in front. Hold it here. Picture those collarbones coming out to the sides, extending all the way out toward those walls. Maybe we lift the hands up a little higher. Maybe we float them a little farther down toward the floor if you have that range going. Big breath in and big breath out. We can always pull those knees a little closer to your shoulders to keep the pressure off your back. We're now going to draw those hands up to the ceiling, taking an inhale, and we'll exhale them out on that T. Through the range you can move without discomfort. Little stretch is okay. Hands to the ceiling, open them up to the T, keep that belly drawn down. Inhale up to the ceiling, open to the T. Inhale up to the ceiling, let's hold them there. And let's take one arm out at a time. That arm closest to the screen is going to open up to the side. We'll inhale it back to the ceiling and exhale, switch it up. Opposite arm opens, inhale to the center. Switch it back and forth for 4 and center. For 3, keep that mid-back press down to the floor. Last 2, bring it back up to the top. And last 1. Let's take those hands to the ceiling. We're going to pull the knee farthest from the screen into your chest. And we're going to press that opposite leg straight out to the wall in front of us. Let's hold it there, rolling those shoulders back and down and resetting that belly to the spine. Good. We're going to do some combined movements with that straight leg. Keeping it lifted slightly up off the floor, let's extend it out to the side, away from the body. Take it back to midline. Keep that quad, that thigh nice and tight as we lift the leg toward the ceiling and lower it back toward the floor. Out to the side, back to the center. Raise it toward the ceiling, lower it to the floor. Let's keep that pattern going side to side, up and down. If you'd like to challenge it further, you can nod the chin a little more and lift that head up off the mat. Take it up and lower it down. Let's hold that leg in front of us. We're going to switch our sides. Belly stays drawn down, head stays lifted or down, whatever you prefer. Let's switch up those knees. Opposite knee pulls in. Let's press the other leg forward, keeping that thigh nice and active. We're going to take that leg out to the side, sweep it to the center, lift it up, keeping that tailbone anchored to the floor. Let's lower that leg back down. Sweep it to the side, take it to the center, lift the leg up, and lower it down. Continue side to side. Vary your head position if you'd like. The main things we think about here are keeping that belly drawn down, that mid-back press to the floor, and that trunk nice and still as our legs move. Let's take that leg, that straight leg, we're going to stretch it all the way down to the mat. Draw that heel to the floor. Let's hang on to our bent knee with the opposite hand. We'll take that hand closest to the bent knee and press it into the mat next to us. Press that hand down and let your body translate to the other side. We're going to rotate through that trunk a bit. 2 more times. Rock and center. rock and center, and let's switch our legs. We'll draw the belly down, pull the opposite knee into the chest, and let's slide the other leg out along the mat. Tighten up the front of that thigh. We'll reverse our hands. Take the hand on the opposite side, pull that bent knee towards your screen. Press the opposite hand into the floor, and we'll translate and rotate side to side for 4, for 3, for 2, and for 1. Let's come right back to the middle. We're gonna hold on behind that thigh. Let's stretch that leg up to the ceiling, to that first barrier point where you feel your hamstring start to stretch. We'll hold it there. Let's flex and point. Move through all that connective tissue behind that thigh and lower leg. Point those toes to the ceiling, keeping a hold of that thigh. We're gonna draw our belly down and use those lower abdominals to hover our leg up off the floor and to control that leg back down to the mat. Lift it up, lower it down. Lift and lower. Last 3, last 2. That knee could be bent if you need a little pressure taken off. We'll lower that leg down to the floor. Let's take our arms to the ceiling, keeping that lifted leg right where it is, bending the knee if you need again to take some pressure off. We're gonna take that lifted leg side to side, draw that horizontal line on the ceiling. Think about keeping the bones in the back of the pelvis anchored into the floor. If you wanna make this more challenging, make that line a little bit longer. Take it out to the side. Keep the bones in the back of the pelvis really pressed into the floor. And let's move to circles. We'll stir that leg in its socket, drawing those circles on the ceiling with our toes. Let's reverse it and circle the other way, maybe hovering that supporting leg up off the floor to challenge it a little further. One more circle, take it out and around. Let's hold on behind that thigh again. We're gonna kick that leg into our hand for a little more support. Maybe we curl that chin down toward the neck and lift the head up off the mat. Switch those legs. Opposite leg comes up. We'll switch and hold behind our newly stretching thigh. And let's extend that other leg down to the mat. If your head's been lifted, we'll bring that head down to the mat again, keeping that chin nod. And let's flex and point through our other leg. Again, finding a barrier where you feel a stretch, but you're not fighting yourself to keep that length. Point those toes to the ceiling, keeping those hands right where they are. We'll draw the belly down and use those abdominals to lift and lower our supporting leg. Lift it a few inches up, control it down to the mat. Keep that going for 2. Lift, we'll lower it down. Let's float the arms to the ceiling. We're gonna anchor those hip bones down toward the floor, and let's move that lifted leg side to side. Find that horizontal line you can draw with good pelvic control. We're really finding the tendency toward rotation as that leg moves side to side and give some leverage to our abdominals. Maybe we take it a little farther out to the side. Maybe we bring it a little bit across midline, and then we can move to circles. Reach those toes to the ceiling, maybe hovering that supporting leg up off the floor if you'd like to take it a little farther. Pause where you are. Let's switch and circle the other way. Here's 3, 2, and 1. Let's reach those toes to the ceiling, hang on behind that thigh. We'll roll those shoulders back and down, nodding the chin. Keeping those abdominals drawn down, we can lift that head and neck, keeping our gaze right to the knee. If your head is down, your gaze is a little more towards your toes. We'll move through our straight leg stretch. Leg on the floor comes up to meet that lifted leg. Draw the other leg down in front. Keep it moving for 4, for 3, for 2, and for 1. Let's pull those knees to tabletop. We're gonna hold on behind our thighs. Use the little assistance from those hands onto your thighs to allow you to draw that belly down a little farther. We'll roll the belly down, or roll the upper body down if it's been lifted, and pull those knees a little bit closer to your chest, just shy of 90 degrees. Reset that belly down a little closer to the mat, and we'll take our hands down to the floor. Let's move them out on about a 45-degree angle away from the body. We're gonna rock ourselves side to side, tip the lower half of the body towards your screen, and press it away by pushing through your hands. Let's rock it side to side. Take it through a range you can control. Keep those shoulder blades on the floor. If you want to challenge it a little bit differently, we could straighten our legs, bringing those feet toward the ceiling. The belly scoop down toward the floor, and we can flatten that back into the mat just slightly. Let's move to some circles. Let's draw circles on the ceiling with both feet moving together. You might feel a little massage effect on that low back. You are welcome to bend your knees to take some leverage off. We'll pause at the top wherever you are. Take a big breath in. Exhaling, let's circle the other way. Feet moving together for 4, 3, 2, and 1. Reach those feet to the ceiling. We're gonna open them out to a V until you feel a little bit of a stretch through those inner thighs. We'll zip those legs together. Breathe it in. Exhale, open the feet to the sides. Inhale into the center. One more time here. Open up. Inhale, center. We're now going to pull one leg a little closer to you and let the other leg extend a little farther forward. We're going to do some helicopter switches. Little semicircles, switching position so that other foot comes closer to your trunk. Circle and circle. Circle and circle. Those legs are basically moving out and in and slightly closer to you, slightly away from you. So we're making 2 semicircles with them. Your knees could be bent. We're going to continue this pattern. If you'd like to make it more challenging, we take those legs and we extend them forward toward the wall in front of you versus directly up to the ceiling. We're going to keep going with these helicopters for 4, for 3, for 2, and for 1. Let's bring those feet together, pull them to tabletop, and let's give them a little hug into the body, rocking side to side. Let's take a few deep breaths in and a few deep breaths out here. We'll bring ourselves right to the middle, reset those shoulder blades down against the floor. We're gonna hold onto the front of our knees and guide those thighs up to at that vertical position, and we'll bring our knees back up to tabletop, or as close as we can get to tabletop. Hold it there, draw that belly down, and once those muscles are engaged, we can take our hands and reach them to the ceiling. We're gonna drop that chin down again, draw the mid back down, and draw that belly down toward the floor. Let's take the arm farthest from the screen and open it up behind the body. We're gonna extend that opposite leg forward toward the wall for a nice long diagonal. Inhale to the center, exhale and switch. Inhale to the center, exhale and switch. Let's keep moving through those diagonals, alternating through at your own speed. If you wanna progress that, we maintain our chin nod and lift the back of the head up off the floor so we can gaze right out in front of our toes. Let's switch those diagonals for 4, for 3, for 2, and for 1. Let's bring those arms to the ceiling, knees to tabletop. We're gonna bring that upper body down and leave our hands right where they are. Let's flex those feet, giving the tops of the toes a chance to take a little breather there. Toes are pulling toward the kneecaps. We're gonna draw the belly down and let's take both heels and lower them toward the floor. Keep that back as still as you can as the feet come down. We'll inhale, bringing those knees back up. Continue to lower and lift those feet at your own speed. If you need to take a half a step back, one heel comes down and up, and then the other comes down and up. We're gonna repeat for 4 more. 2 together or 1 at a time. 3 more. For the last 2, we could progress by taking those arms back overhead and then up to the ceiling. Last one, we're gonna lower those heels to the floor, leave them there once they touch the mat, and then let your toes join them on the floor, pointing directly in front of you. Let's draw those arms back overhead toward the wall behind you, keeping the elbows as straight as you can. We're gonna pause at the point where we have the maximum stretch or the final barrier where you can't take them back any farther without that middle back popping up off the floor, and we're gonna hold our arms there. Let's take a big breath in. As we exhale, we're again gonna lower that chin gently to the neck. We're gonna drop our mid back toward the floor. We're gonna take our lowest ribs down to the mat, and we're gonna draw the belly down as well. Hold those arms overhead as we stay there. Big breath in. As we exhale, maintain those connections, and let's walk those heels a little closer to our bottoms. Feel the stretch and opening through those ribs as we inhale. As we exhale, feel the ribs draw slightly toward each other and down towards your trunk. Let's take those arms to the ceiling, and we're gonna bring them down by our sides in front of us for bridging. Big breath in. As we exhale, draw those feet and heels down to the floor. We're gonna lift that bottom up, reaching those tailbones toward the ceiling. The hip bones are pointed directly up to the ceiling and as level with each other as you can get them. Inhale at the top, exhale, bridge it back down. Let's take ourselves through those bridges at our own pace. We're trying to keep our thighs parallel to each other, those feet as close to parallel to each other as we can. And those shoulder blades are going to stay pressed into the floor. We're going to hold this bridge up at the top. Squeeze those glutes. We're going to take that hip closest to the screen and let it rock down toward the mat. Other side stays lifted. Inhale, lift that hip back up. Exhale, switch it. Opposite hip comes toward the mat. Inhale and lift. Let's take it side to side for 4, for 3, for 2, and for 1. Lift those hips to the ceiling. Take a big breath in. As we exhale, we'll lower that bottom down to the mat. When your tailbone comes down to the floor, we'll release those glutes for a big breath in. And we'll exhale, resetting, driving those heels through the floor, and let's bridge back up. Press those arms into the floor for a little extra support. Let's go up and down on our toes. Lift the heels, keeping those glutes lifted. Lower the heels, keeping those glutes lifted. Keep that going. You might notice as you go that as those heels drop to the floor, you feel a little more gluteal activation and a little more stretch through the front of the thighs. Lift and lower for 4, for 3, for 2, and for 1. Let's lower those heels. Take a big breath in. Exhale, bridging down. Again, release those glutes at the bottom. We're going to keep our feet on the floor and just take one knee out to the side and back to the center and the other. A little modified butterfly stretch here. Take those knees side to side one at a time. We'll bring those knees back to the top. Take a big breath in. Exhaling, let's drive through those heels back up into our bridge. We're going to keep the big toes pressed into the floor and that knee closest to your screen opens up toward the screen. Float it back to the center and the opposite side comes out and back to the center. Let's open those knees one at a time for 4, for 3, for 2, and for 1. We're going to hold our bridge. Both knees are going to go side to side together now. We'll take them both to the screen. Shift the weight, moving them both away. Shift those knees toward the screen. Shift them away. Feel the role that your arms play in helping you stay supported. Last 2 to each side. Last time toward the screen and away from the screen. We'll come right back to the middle for a big breath in. On that exhale, let's lower it down. Release those glutes at the bottom and we're going to rock those knees side to side. Let's take a big deep breath in. Big deep breath out. We'll come right back to the center, inch those heels ever so slightly closer to the bottom. Take a big breath in. Breathing out, we're going to bridge up one final time. And we'll complete our bridges with 4 marches on each side. Drive that heel closest to the screen down through the mat. Lift the other leg up. Float it back down and switch. Drive the heel, lift the other knee. 3 more here. Maybe we extend that knee, bringing the foot toward the ceiling. We have 2 more on each side. Lift and reach. Press, lift and reach. Last time each. Lift and reach. Bring it down. Lift and reach. Press that foot through the floor. Take a big breath in. Exhaling, we'll bring that bottom down to the mat. Releasing the glutes at the bottom. Let's rock those knees side to side. Big breath in. Big breath out. Bring those knees to the ceiling. We're going to cross one leg over the other. Pull that other knee in toward the chest if you have the room to move here. Inhale. Exhaling. Let's bring that foot down. We'll switch them up. Opposite heel crosses over. Draw that knee in towards your chest if you have a little more room to move. Feel that hip opener. Lengthen, relax, loosen up a bit. Big breath in. Exhale. Let's unwind those legs. Give them a final hug into the chest. We'll take our hands and feet to the mat, and let's turn over to hands and knees. Let's see if I can keep my glasses on as we do this. We're going to line ourselves up on our mat. If you do need a little extra padding, you're welcome to fold your mat over, double it over, and give yourself a little more foam under those kneecaps. Once we're up on hands and knees, we're going to get those shoulders and wrists lined up, knees and hips lined up, and let's turn our toes under. Press the balls of the feet into the floor. Hold in there. Let's gently rock those bottoms back toward the heels, keeping your big toes on the floor. Let's rock back up to all fours. Press it back. Rock it up to the fours. One more time. Press those bottoms back toward the heels. Hold for a breath. Exhale, and we come back up to hands and knees. Let's turn those toes the other direction. Move through cat and cow. Curl that belly, looking toward the thighs. Reverse that curve, looking forward toward the mirror or the window or the wall, whatever you got in front of you. Curl it up. Reverse that curve. One more time, curl it up. Reverse. Let's take ourselves right back to neutral, and we're gonna wag the tail side to side, hip to shoulder, toward the screen and away. One more time each. Take yourself right back to neutral, and now from here, we're gonna squeeze our shoulder blades together, press them toward the floor. Squeeze the blades together, press them toward the floor. Two more here, squeeze and press. Squeeze and press. Let's move to single arm. We're gonna shift the weight away from the screen. Take that arm closest to the screen up to your thigh. Square those shoulders off with the floor. And let's squeeze and press through our supporting shoulder blades. Squeeze to midline, press that blade toward the floor. Squeeze and press. Last two here. Squeeze and press. Squeeze and press. Switch it up. Opposite hand comes down. Hand farthest from the screen comes to the thigh as we square off those shoulders. Let's squeeze the blades together, press the blade to the floor. Squeeze and press. Last two. Last one, squeeze and press. We'll take that second hand back to the mat. And let's shift our weight toward the screen and away. Getting off those wrists one at a time, giving them a chance to release. One more time to the other side. We'll come back to all fours. Let's take that leg closest to the screen. We're gonna slide it back behind us. Lift it up just an inch or two off the floor. And let's bring it up and down. Keep that trunk nice and still. Lift and lower, lift and lower. Lift and hold. Keep that leg straight. We're gonna draw a line on the wall behind us. Take it out to the side, back to the center. Side to side. Two more, out to the side, back to the center. Last one, out to the side, back to the center. Let's slide that leg back into all fours. Opposite leg stretches out behind the body. Keep that belly drawn in, and we're gonna lift and lower, lift and lower, lift and lower, lift and lower. Lift that leg and hold. We'll take it side to side for 4. For 3, keep that trunk as still as you can. Here's 2. Here's 1. Let's take it right back to the middle. Slide that leg back to all fours. We're gonna shift our weight away from the screen. Take that leg closest to the screen, slide it out to a straight knee position, keeping your toes on the floor. Shift the weight away from your screen. Keep those toes on the floor. We're gonna take that same side arm. Let's unweight it from the mat. Maybe we can lift it all the way forward. Let's float that hand back down. Shift the weight toward the screen as we come back to all fours. Opposite foot comes back. Keep those toes on the floor. Shift toward the screen a little further. We'll take that opposite arm, unweight it, lift it if you can toward that wall in front of you. Float it back down. Let's do one more to each side. Shift, slide the leg back, lift that hand. Back to all fours, shift toward the screen, slide the leg back. Lift that hand up. Hand comes down, let's shift back to all fours. Now we'll move to our diagonal lifts or bird dogs. Leg closest to the screen extends behind the body, opposite arm comes forward. And let's move through at our own speed. Stretching the arm and leg as far away from each other as we can for that nice long diagonal. Activating those stabilizing muscles all along the back and front of your spine. Let's switch it off for 4. Switch for 3. Switch for 2. And switch for 1. All right, making our way back down to all fours. Let's take those elbows down to the floor. Forearms are gonna be parallel to each other, as close to parallel as we can get. If you have shoulder problems, it may feel better to have those fists kind of crossed over each other to give your arms more room. I'll let you choose. We're gonna keep the knees bent, and that leg closest to the screen is gonna come up toward the ceiling. Squeeze through that glute, and we'll bring that bent knee down. Lift it up, control it down. Press those forearms into the floor for a little additional support. Last time, lift and lower. Lift and pulse to the ceiling for 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Let's take that knee back down. Switch it up. Opposite leg comes straight up toward the ceiling. Lower it to the mat. Lift the bent knee. Lower it down. Keep that belly in. Last 2. Lift. Control it down. One more time. Lift to the ceiling. Control it down. Lift and pulse. 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Float that knee down. We'll keep our feet together, bring those knees apart. Let's draw the bottom down toward the heels for a big breath in. Big breath out, drop that forehead toward the floor. Again, you find the range you can move through that feels comfortable both in the hips and through those sides. Let's walk our hands toward the screen, taking one hand over the other one. We'll take a big breath in. You'll feel the opposite side of your trunk open up. Those ribs will come apart from each other. Gently, you'll get a little stretch through those muscles. As we exhale, let's walk our hands through the center and over to the other side. One more big breath in. As we exhale, let's walk those hands forward. We're going to make our way up to all fours again, and then through to a sitting position. We're going to remain lengthwise on our mat. Feet will be in front of us, knees are bent. Let's again line up our heels with our sit bones, about a foot to foot and a half away from those sit bones. We're going to keep our knees hip width apart. Let's hold behind our thighs like we're holding a nice round beach ball. Draw that belly in and gently nod your chin towards your neck, keeping the back of the neck nice and long. Let's lean back, keeping our hands resting underneath those thighs for a little support. Draw the belly down. Only take yourself back as far as you can control that navel. If you feel it poking towards your knees, we'll pull up a little bit more vertically. Hold it here. Let's pull up onto our toes, bringing those toes a little closer to the bottom. And we're going to walk our feet out a little bit. Straighten and bend one knee, straighten and bend the other. Keep that going. If you'd like to challenge it further, we take those arms out in front of us, maybe even raising them up a little bit higher to line those arms up with our thighs. Draw that belly back. We'll walk it out here for 3, for 2, and for 1. Let's grab onto those shins. We'll pull ourselves up nice and tall. Let's take our feet all the way to the floor. Bringing our hands by our sides, let's slide that bottom back until our weight is centered right over the front of our sit bones. And we're going to take our feet out on a narrow V. The heels will be out just over each of the front edges of your mat. It's fine for those knees to be bent to accommodate some tightness in the muscles. I'd actually encourage it if it's a strain at all to keep them straight. Keeping that trunk nice and vertical, we're going to open our arms in a narrow V as well. And then we're going to take those arms out to the sides. They're going to stop right in front of trunk height. So if you come back all the way and feel too much of a stretch, go ahead and pull those arms back in front of you just a little. We're going to move from that breast bone and keep our bellies in. Let's rotate that upper body towards your screen, just to the first barrier. Hold it here for a breath. As we breathe out, we'll rotate the other direction. We're keeping our weight equal on both sit bones, and we're trying to keep that trunk as vertical as we can and the weight over those sit bones. So we're trying not to slouch back behind that tailbone. Let's turn it toward the screen. We'll rotate away from the screen one more time, and then let's take it right back to the middle. Those hands are going to come down to the floor right behind those buttocks, fingertips facing forward or out to the sides, depending on how those wrists feel in that weight-bearing position. Let's bring our feet toward each other. We're going to bend those knees up again and scoot that bottom gently toward your heels. Let's straighten our elbows. That might make you change your mind as far as your hand position. We're going to squeeze our blades together and send that breastbone up to where your wall and ceiling meet in front of you. So we have a little bit of upper back arching going on. The belly is staying drawn in to support your lower back. We can hold here for 2 breaths, or if you want to progress it, we can lift up into reverse tabletop. Either way, buttocks up or buttocks down. Let's take a big breath in and a big breath out. One more time, big breath in. Big breath out. Let's take that bottom down. We're going to sit up nice and tall, cross-legged or with those feet in front of us, and let's face our screen. All right, arms are coming down. We're going to roll those shoulders back for 4, for 3, for 2, and for 1. Let's tip an ear to a shoulder. Take it back up. Other ear to the other shoulder. Take it back up. We're going to make our way up into kneeling on our mats. If you'd like to double your mat over for a little extra padding like we did earlier on all fours, now's a great time to do that. We're going to come up nice and tall. And the goal here really is to keep that trunk lined up with your thighs. Try not to be too far forward or too far back. Try to find that happy medium right in the middle. Nice straight line from the crown of the head down through those knees. With that belly gently drawn in, we're going to take our arms up to the ceiling. And let's take a few tall side bends. We'll reach toward the side of the room. Feel a little stretch along that side, maybe even into the side of that hip. Inhale up tall, exhale, tall side bend the other way. Inhale up, exhale, side bend. Inhale up, one more side bend as we exhale to the other side. Let's take it up to the center. We're gonna bring our arms down to our hips and let's straighten out one leg in line with the other knee, with the bent knee or slightly in front. Let's try to get that foot flat on the floor as best we can. And our hands are going to help us level, help us measure our pelvis. We're going to try to drop the hip on the straight leg side to the point of getting an inner thigh stretch. Let's hold that here. We're going to send the bottom back and the crown of the head forward. Hinge from that hip. Take it nice and tall. Hinge it forward. Take it up tall. Hinge it forward. Take it up. One last time. Hinge that body forward. Come up tall. Arms come out to the sides. Big breath in. Exhale. Side bend toward that bent knee. Reach toward that corner. Maybe we lift the foot up. Let's side bend toward that straight leg. Take it up and over. Reach toward that straight leg. Two more times here. Nice tall side bends. Keep that belly lifted in toward the spine to help support your low back. Last time, side bend toward that bent knee, reach that foot up. And we'll take it over to the other side. Let's come up nice and tall and we'll switch legs. Bring that other knee to the floor, straighten out the opposite leg along the mat. Hands to the hips, let's square those hips off, getting into that inner thigh length on the newly straightened side. And let's hinge forward, crown of the head toward the screen. Come up nice and tall. Take the head forward, bring it up tall. Two more times, hinge it forward, bring it up tall. One more, bring it forward. Take that body up tall, arms come out to the side, big breath in. Exhale and side bend. Inhale up and over. Side bend toward that bent knee, reach that leg up if you can. Bring it up and over. Last two here, side bend, reverse it. Last one, let's side bend, reach that corner. Take it up and over. Arms come down, let's come back to our tall kneel. We'll roll those shoulders back for 4, 3, 2, and 1. And let's make our way down onto our side, resting that head on your lower arm. Knees are bent, heels line up with the bottom. Let's press our top hand into the floor. Keeping that trunk and pelvis facing forward, let's lift our knees toward the ceiling and lower them down. Lift and lower. Lift and lower. Lift and lower. Knees stay down, feet lift. Top knee comes up and down for 4, 3, 2, and 1. Let's bring those knees and feet down. Fire hydrant lift. Top bent leg lifts up, lowers down, shins together. Lift and lower. Last two. Last one. Bring them down. We're going to straighten our bottom leg out. Top foot rests on that bottom knee. Let's bring our top knee up and down for 4, 3, 2, and 1. Bring that knee to hip height. Fire hydrant lift with the bottom leg straight. Top leg comes up and down for 4, 3, 2, and 1. Let's straighten out that top leg. We're going to pulse it to the ceiling. 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Hold it up there. Bring that bottom leg up. We're going to take them down and up together. Last one's on this side. Here's 4, 3, 2, and 1. Take them down. Bend your knees up and pat that hip out. Nice job. Let's switch it up and over. You can rest that other ear on that bottom arm. Knees forward, heels line up with that bottom. Let's take that top hand again, press it into the mat, and those knees lift up and down for 4, 3, 2, and 1. Knees come down, feet lift. Top knee comes up and down again for 4, 3, 2, and 1. Knees and feet come down. Fire hydrant lifts. Top leg lifts and lowers. Shin up, shin down. Lift and lower. Last two. Last one. Straighten out that bottom leg. Top foot stays on that bottom knee. Top knee now lifts up and down. 3, 2, and 1. Knee comes forward. Let's lift up for fire hydrant lift with the bottom leg straight. Here's 3. Press that bottom leg into the floor. Here's 2. Here's one. Take that back to hip height. Straighten out that top leg. We're going to pulse it to the ceiling. 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Keep it lifted. Bottom leg comes up. Let's bring them both down and up together. 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Take them down. Bend those knees up. Pat that hip out. All right, let's turn on to our backs. We'll bend up those knees, lining our heels up with our hips. Hands are down by the sides. Let's take a big breath in. And as you exhale, release that tension in your body. We can take our arms out on a 45-degree angle for a little counterbalancing. And let's rock those knees toward our screen. Rock the knees away from the screen. Gently take them side to side. Let's bring those knees back to center. We're going to cross one leg over to the opposite knee. Maybe we pull them into the chest. Give that hip opener a little stretch. Breathe it in again. Exhale. Let's bring those feet down. Switch them up. Opposite foot crosses over. Draw them up and into your chest. Hold it there for a big breath. Exhale. Let's take those feet down. We'll unwind them. Let's make our way up to hands and knees. We'll finish our time on the floor with one more cat and cow. Curl it up, look toward those thighs. Reverse that curve. Take it right back to neutral. Let's turn those toes under. We can stand once we get our weight back over the middle of the ankle joints. And let's come up nice and tall. All right, moving to the center of our mat, we're going to finish with a little bit of balancing. If you do have a little bit of issues balancing on one foot or in a narrow base, please feel free to find something stable to hold on to. We're going to bring those feet a little bit wider than our shoulders. Let's just get into those toes a little bit. We're going to shift the weight toward the toes, shift the weight toward the heels. Forward and back, just feeling what those toes, those heels, those shins, those quads, maybe even your core has to do to keep you upright between that bases, those different edges of your bases. Take the weight back to the center, soften the knees a bit, and we're going to shift side to side, foot to foot. Pay attention to how you feel your sides of your hips kicking in to help you, maybe even those side muscles in your core kicking in to help you. Let's shift all the way to one side. We're going to stand heel to toe. One foot comes in front of the other. We can hold here. If you want to challenge it further, let's look side to side. Maybe we look forward, we even close our eyes if you feel safe doing so. Notice it challenges your balance quite a bit more. Hold it there. Open up those eyes if they've been closed. We're going to shift toward our back leg and stand on one foot. Let's hold it there. We're just going to shift toward the toes and toward the heels, appreciating the difference in how those muscles activate as you shift toward the toes versus toward the heels. Let's move our weight back to the center of that ankle and switch sides. We're going to take that other foot forward. We'll stand heel to toe. Find that balance point. We can look side to side. We can come back to the middle. Maybe we close our eyes. Feel those feet working hard and keep you balanced. Open up the eyes when you're ready. Shift the weight to the back leg and let's come up to our single leg stand. We can further challenge by shifting toward the toes and toward the heels. All right, let's come back to the middle. Take those feet down, shake them out a little bit. All right, let's bring our feet apart from each other, soften up those knees. We'll take a big breath in, arms come up and overhead. Clasp them, press them up to the ceiling, and let's drop our blades down. Moving from just above those belly buttons, let's take a tall side bend to one corner of your room. Inhale up to the ceiling, and we'll exhale to the other side. Inhale, reach those arms up, straighten out those knees. Let's take those hands apart from each other. Bring them down by your side. Let's take our feet together. We'll take one more big breath in, pressing those palms overhead. Let's close with our hands at our center. And thanks for playing with me today. Thanks for humoring me with my costume. And I hope you guys have a really wonderful weekend. And maybe you get a little sore muscles in your core and in your hips. Enough that you feel like you worked, but not so much that you won't come back and join me again next time. Thanks, you guys.